So this is the third session of our online On the Land project, which was funded by the Ontario Indigenous Youth Partnership Program. I'd like to take a moment to just welcome everybody. I see some familiar faces from our other sessions and some new ones. So if you'd like to take an opportunity to say hello and maybe where you're from, either using your microphone or in the chat, this just helps us to have an idea of who we have with us here today. Awesome. Some people are using the chat, which is great. Good morning. Hello. Hi, Carrie. Shane, hello, Shane from Beausoleil First Nation. We have Ashley from Shawville, Quebec. Petra from St. Catharines. And we have some participants from Michigan and Midland. Ooh, from Terrace, BC. Hello, Cinnamon. Thank you for joining us today. So, just talk a little bit about the project itself. So the Online On the Land project is a 7-week hybrid series of online cultural activities with elders and traditional knowledge holders that provide in-person instructions on how to harvest materials respectfully from the land and also how to use those materials. And for those just joining us, we are just introducing our team. So we have our elder with us today, H.Neil Monague from Chinmissing First Nation, and myself, the program lead from Mohegan-Sigagan First Nation, and the mentor for the project, Joey Lynn Wabi, also from Mohegan-Sigagan. And we would like to take a moment to thank our funder, the Ontario Indigenous Youth Partnership Project. They do grants like this every year for projects that assist Ontario Indigenous youth getting in touch with their culture. So if you're interested in creating a project either similar to this, or if you have your own ideas, feel free to send in an application, and we will put the link in the chat for you guys to check out their website. So here we are, our third session. So it'll be hand drum teachings with our elder H.Neil Monague, and we are also going to be facilitating a cymbal shaker workshop. And just for your own information, session 4, not session 3, will be Learn to Fish with Darren McGregor. That'll be occurring next Friday at noon as well. And I will direct our attention to our elder, Mr. Monague, whenever he pops back up on his screen.
Also a reminder about the hide that needs to be soaked.
Yes. Yes, so if you are one of our youth participants and you're doing the shaker workshop this afternoon, if you haven't already, now is a great opportunity for you to soak that rawhide in some lukewarm water. It takes about an hour to soften up if you haven't already, so you'd still be able to start your workshop as we move along. Whenever you're ready, Neil.
Pardon? Whenever I'm ready? Okay, wait an hour.
Okay.
I'm going to do an opening here, and I'm going to light up some sage. But I also put some bear root medicine into my smudge bowl, just to kind of help out the talk about drums, especially the hand drums and the big powwow drums. And I want to do a song, a prayer, and then I'll smudge, and I'll actually show you the smudge bowl. And then just, if you can, just close your eyes and smell that medicine, because that medicine does travel a long way spiritually. And if we understand its true meaning and the things that it does for the people, then we understand that what we're going to do today is going to be very important to all of us. So I just lit it. Just relax, close your eyes, and just remind yourselves of who you are, and that you are always will be a part of creation, no matter what. And when we talk about these drums, we talk about them in a safe manner, in an understanding manner, that these drums are very important to our people. Both the big drum and the hand drums, the water drums of the Haudenosaunee. And we have to respect every drum that we see in our travels around on Turtle Island. We now talk to our creator, H.Neil, creator who put all life upon Mother Earth, who gave that opportunity for all of us to understand its true meaning of what life really is. To understand that we who are part of creation were the last to set foot upon the earth. To understand that the animal kingdom and the plant kingdom were here before us, that we understand the true meaning of the earth, our mother, to give her thanks every once in a while as we walk through our lifetime and our path. To understand that our grandmother and grandfather, who sit high above in the skies to watch over us as we walk through our daytime path and our nighttime path. We give thanks to the star world and all those that have ventured there as they finished upon Mother Earth to find a place to watch over us as we sleep. Kashem the dogi ni kinego gamis young manon gamigi no is wish me go to co-op badwa magyu tangi gave no in the madabewat. When again watching an agdwena mo at sea of months in the gami to in the do gamis young mads do it. He no wish me go to co-op me on Chwijo young. Joanna how me gwich. Joanna Mishnang Jem Nido. Joanna Mishnang Jem Nido. Joanna Mishnang Jem Nido. Joanna Mishnang Jem Nido. Me gwich. Song I'm going to do is the Anishinaabe Kwe song, and I'll explain that as I go through. Anishinaabe Kwe as was and we're on a bit mad is the way. Anishinaabe Kwe as was and we're on a bit mad is the way. Oh, way,
Thank you.
Quavidos cosa, muero de mares Oneshnabe quavidos cosa, muero de mares away, way, away, 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 way, Ajwana Mishnang Jamnido, Ajwana Mishnang Jamnido, Ajwana Mishnang Jamnido, Ajwana Mishnang Jamnido, Amigwitch. Now, reason why I sang that song is because we have to remember that this drum that we're going to talk about, all the drums, and that song also represents all women, not just Anishinaabe. It represents all women upon Mother Earth, whether you be Ojibwe, Algonquin, Cree, Haudenosaunee. That song represents everyone, all the women that we are to walk with. And in that understanding, and when I received that song, I actually saw her coming from the east. And with her came those spirit animals that walked all around her and walked with her as she walked across our daytime path, our daytime road. And who was leading her was our grandfather, Mishomis, our grandfather's son, who walks across our daytime every day of our lives. And so the woman that walks across this path and across and around the earth walks on this path for her ever life, because that's the task that she has been given. It was with the women that these drums came from. They were the ones that brought the drums forward to the men. Way back in the day when the fighting was between the tribes and the nations, it was a woman who came and talked about that, they need to do something, and what they did. John Rice is the one that talks about this drum teaching really well. And again, it talks about how it was that they brought these drums together. There was a vision and the teaching. And when we talk about these drums, and we talk about them all the time, or we should be, that this little guy is fairly new to me. This one here was made a couple of years ago because I retired my first drum. Because that drum there, and I'll show it to you and show you the difference, what it looks like. Can everybody see this drum? That's my first drum. That was made in 1994, 95, in that time. And this drum traveled with me for many, many years from that time. We've done a lot of work together. And in that teaching, it talks about when you make your first drum, that this drum needs to be given away. That is that teaching. And I understand that and I respect it. But for some reason or other, this drum decided it wanted to stay with me. And when we started walking this path, we started walking it together and singing songs. The very first song that came to me with this drum was a song called Walking with Creation. This is where we did the drum, that first one. The Anishinaabe song came through this drum as well, or the Spirit Woman song came through this drum. And all those other songs that I carry and that I have, that I share with a lot of people, also came from this drum. This drum and I traveled many years. We've done a couple of weddings. We've done a lot of funerals. We've done young people that were being born. I think I've done 3 of those with this. And we've gone through a lot. We've talked to people individually. We've done a lot of work with groups, spirit, helping the spirit move forward to understand the true meaning. And you can actually see the faded drawing on this drum. That's the crane. That's me. But you notice the hole in the top there. Because as we get older, things start changing for us. And so does this drum. It's tired, it rests, and it's wrapped up and it's put away. When we look at it, we begin to see the circle of it. And that's the understanding that this drum still can do its work. But I decided that it needed to rest now because of all the work it's done. But I go to it. I went to it twice already because there were things that I needed to do. I brought it out and let it sit. I sing on my bed there because it's more comfortable. And I sit there and I put this drum out in front of us. And I sing with this new drum that I have. And it gives me the thoughts and brings those ideas back and cleans it and starts to make me think about things about what we've done together and how we got through them. But without this drum, when this drum came from women, it was theirs. I think they gave us permission to use them. And when we start to use them, we have to use them in a good way. When you put these together, look at this one. This is the first drum I ever made. It's not the best, but it still did what it's supposed to do. And I was told when I was making it that you have to put your good thoughts and your good mind into it. You have to put your heart into it. You have to think about what it is why is it that I'm making this drum? Why is it, what is it, what's the purpose? Once it's complete, you let it dry. And then you do that ceremony, the waking ceremony of these drums by doing a feast with them. And that's really a powerful ceremony, really, to know that and how many drums are being awakened. But once those drums are awakened, you have to keep going with them. You have to put them in a safe place. You have to understand the true meaning of what these drums are all about. When these drums are made, they're made from those animals that came before us. When we make these drums, we have to think about the plant life, the trees that came first, because they were here first before us. They were the first ones to touch the earth, the plant kingdom, the trees being the tallest of all the plants. And when we understand what those trees mean, we begin to see how beautiful they are out there. If I could walk you over to my window, I'd show you what I mean, how beautiful these trees are. But I might drop you and I might hurt you, so I don't want to carry you. So when you look at this, you see the connection between the two. That's the connection. Animal and tree. Always remember, when you're drumming, you drum for your own healing sometimes. You do it for yourself. Because sometimes you have to remember that when you do things, you got to think of you first before you can think of anybody else. You have to know who you are before you. Because when we sing different songs. We can even tap dance and still drum at the same time because I've seen it done. I've seen it done. The most powerful song I've heard a lot of powerful songs, but the one I really like is from the Haudenosaunee. It's called the Smoke Dance. Oh, do I ever love that song. That's beautiful, how they dance, how they sing, and how they do things. So I learned a little bit from them. I learned a little bit from the Haudenosaunee because I know a lot of people from the Haudenosaunee culture. I can't tell you their story, but I can tell you they got good stories. But when they sing and do that smoke dance, oh man, do I ever feel great. I almost feel like jumping in there, but I might go backwards. But drums are for the people. When we hear them, when we hear that drum going, yeah. It's like the heartbeat. No matter where we go in life, our heart will always beat. And then when we begin to understand the true meaning of what it is we are doing, then we begin to understand that we can help people as much as we can. Because I use my drum when I help people. I don't know how many of you have heard me do or seen me do the work in that circle. But when I walk around people, the drum and I can tell that there's something going on with certain individuals all the way around, because I do ask questions later. And that's how powerful these drums are. You smudge them over this before I start. I even give it a drink before we start. Then I pray, and then I make sure that everything is going to go right. And when we do understand that, and then this drum, again, like I said, came from the women. That big drum wasn't for the women looking for something to help stop the fighting between the nations or the people. I don't think we'd be here. I don't think that we'd have what we have now if it weren't for the women. When my wife and I got married, this was 200 years ago. You can tell the wrinkles there. That this one here is a 150-year-old wrinkle. This one here is a 175-year-old wrinkle. I'm kidding, of course. I like throwing in stuff like that. Anyway, when my wife and I got married, it was at that time when I wanted to find a partner to walk with. And when I started walking with her. But it wasn't not till 1985 that I stepped into this culture. So I'm still young at it. I'm still young. 1985 was when that first sweat lodge came. And that's when I was introduced to what they call the little boy water drum. When I heard its voice for the first time, it sounded different. I didn't know anything about this, the sweat lodges, the drums, or prayer, or anything like that. But that drum brought things forward when I first sat in the sweat lodge. When the sound of that voice of that little boy water drum came, it was so amazing what you could see and what you could feel. And when all these teachings, about drums and that, and how you protect it, and that's the key. You have to protect your drum. Once it's made, you have to protect it. That's the only time I say have to. Or you have to bring me coffee when I come to visit. That's another time I'll say have to. Or even a donut. No, I'm just kidding. But the drum plays its part in our life, or it should. And you notice that I use a shaker when I use my drum. It brings out actually a little bit more of the drum. A shaker and a drum will work together. Even a drumstick. When you hear the two going together, it's feel the vibrations sometimes. You can understand the true meaning of the voices that they sound together. It's like two people singing together, one bass, one alto. And when they bring their voices together, their voices sound beautiful. But when you put words to the song, it's even more beautiful. This one song that I sing called Walking with Creation. It talks about our walk on life. It talks about where we came from. Remember when we began, I said that the plant life were here first because they had to prepare for what was coming next. And it was our Creator who sounded his voice. And in some of the teachings that we have, they say that the Creator's voice sounded similar to this. That's what they're saying. That his voice sounded like that. And when he came over top of this rock, in that dark, he sounded his voice, and his mind started to move, started thinking, what do I need to do? How can I put this together? And then all those thoughts came forward. Water, grandfathers. Then all of a sudden the plant life were sent down. Then the animal kingdom. When I talk about walking with creation, we came from our creator up there in that spirit world. We call it a shpiming. Some people call it heaven, but I only know two of them, heaven and the shpiming. And when we look at that, we begin to see that spirit who dwelt with creator for a while, and all those teachings that creator gave. Everything that creator gave there said that these are things that are going to happen to you as you go through life. When creator was done, he sent them on to grandfather son, more teachings. Then to grandmother moon, more teachings. And then before the spirit was to touch the earth, creator came and took 4 parts of our mother and shaped this vessel that we walk in, because this vessel that we call a body, the body we call the vessel. What's inside the vessel is that spirit that dwelt with creator. And when we begin to see that, when we begin to understand that, there are times when we think back to way, way back when we sat with creator. Sometimes those thoughts come to us. The little ones, they're still fresh from creator's side. They still know. And then as the spirit, now creator came and blew life into this vessel, that human being began to walk upon the earth. It met up with the animal kingdom. They all talked with him. And this is what's going to happen to you as you move through life. The next thing you know, he came up to the plant kingdom. Trees being the tallest of all the plants. And then when his life was finished, his spirit was taken. And it traveled back into the spirit world. But it stopped by the star world people first. And when that was done, when they were done talking to him, the spirit traveled back to creator's side. So you can see that we traveled in that circle. We came from creator, along the earth, and then back to creator's side. But yet, boy, imagine when you have a bunch of shakers together and you have your drummers going and you use all those shakers. You can tell that the drum is the foremost. You can hear that, but when you hear I'm going to see if I can do this. Bear with me. I know you guys are working on shakers as well. And I have a few shakers here that I'd like to show you before we start. But I want to show you my old man shaker. See this guy? Now this guy traveled with me for quite a while as well. So this drum, these are the 2 old things that I have. This one here is my sweatlock shaker. One day I decided I had this horn in my basement, and I thought, oh, maybe this could be good for a handle because I've seen it before. So I cut it, smudged it. Then I had this made. There was a piece of wood with this one, a wood handle. As I changed it. This is my worldwide shaker. When I sing, when there's other drums there, I use this. Or I can use this. Can everybody see that one? Different sound. Or I can use this. Again. This one here was given to me a while back. This is really, I like And this little guy, this was also a gift. You hear that one? Raise your hands so you can hear it. Oh. So those are 4. But then this guy here, this was also given to me, the little shaker. And I can't remember who gave it to me. I was admiring it one day. I believe at a workshop or something. I can't remember, a conference or something, and this was handed to me after. I got to add a little bit more spice to it. But this one here is what we call the gourd shaker. Some of you have seen these, right? This is the sound. I like this sound. And this little guy, again, was given to me. So there's all types of shakers. But this drum and this outer shaker work together with me. Shamanero, shamanero, giganona, giganona, mosean, mosean, giganona, shamanero, hey, 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 ho. Bishomes, giganona, giganona, mosean, mosean, giganona, bishomes, hey, 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 ho. Nogomisnan, giganona, giganona, mosean, mosean, giganona, nogomisnan, hey, 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 ho. Giganona, giganona, mosean, mosean, giganona, hey, 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 ho. We see us, giganona, giganona, mosean, giganona, we see us, hey, 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 ho. Matego, giganona, mosean, giganona, matego, hey, 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 ho. Nangokan, giganona, mosean, giganona, nangokan, hey, hey, ho. Way ah hey, 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 way hey, hey, So that's Walking with Creation song. That's one of the songs that came from my old drum. And so when we look at that, and then you know, oh, another thing you got to remind yourself of is that when you're using these drums and you put them down, I mentioned a few times over the past few years that I've been doing this work and talking to people about their drums and how to take care of them, is that you never put them like this. You shouldn't put them like this, face down, because this is the face. That's the face. This is the back part. This is the back where the drum sits like this when you lay it down. Sometimes I forget, but then sometimes somebody gives me a spiritual slap and say, hey, turn that around, and I got to do it. So when you look at them, and you get, you know, because this is the sound, this is the voice, this is where the voice comes from, is here. But if you turn them around like this, you're going to go, and you won't understand what it's saying. But if you turn them around this way, then you understand what they're saying. Mi sayona kea, keshe sayang mag pagsige. This is the way you put us. is face up. Anyway, any questions? None? Okay, thank you so much. So again, like I say, when you do your shakers too, you know, it's up to you how you look at them. This one here has kind of got the what do you call that?
Seam?
Huh?
The seam of it?
The seam. That's it. That's it. That's it. I'm glad. I know now. I know where you are today. Anyway, so the seam of it is outside. That's good. That's okay. That's fine. That's fine with me. But on my other drum, where did I put it? I lost it. Oh, right in front of me. You'll notice that the seams on this one are on the inside. A little bit on the inside. But I had to, what they call, I had to do an extra little wee tie in it to get it tightened. So I turn it around on the inside. So when you have when the shakers are still wet, before you put the sand in it to shape it into that circle, flip it around, turn it inside out, you're thinking, and then I'll bring it so it sits like, so it doesn't sit like this, or it sits like this. See, the seams are on the inside on this one. This is an oldie but a goodie also, this shaker. Anyway, any other questions, comments, concerns?
Yes. So we actually have L Day, who says, I was taught that you should never kill or eat anything from your clan. I am Turtle Clan. Would it be inappropriate to have a turtle shaker?
Well, again, I guess this, like I said, this turtle shaker was given to me. So I'm not, if you're a Turtle Clan, then you shouldn't be using it, a turtle shaker, unless your elder or somebody within your nation or community says it's okay. Again, I'm not too familiar with some people that, but I know that it's not right to kill a turtle just for shell, to use it as a shaker. But there are people that do it, and a lot of times these some of these shakers are found in stores. Like this one here was given to me, and he said he bought it in the States somewhere. And you can see there's on this, there's a little mark on it. And that's an eagle. But he said he bought it in the store somewhere in the States, but he wasn't, can't remember the town he named. But a lot of people do that. That if you find one that's already, that turtle that has already died, and then you want to do something with it, then you ask permission. And the permission is that you ask Creator and the animal kingdom before you put, you put your tobacco down. And then you take that and you take what's the remainder of that turtle and place it back into the earth and clean out the shell as best you can. And you can use it that way. Again, you got to talk with the elders in your area, in your community, on their thoughts around that. For me, again, like I said, I don't use this as much as but I carry it just to show that, they do use these as shakers. But way back in the day, they used to do that. A lot of nations, other Aboriginal communities or community areas around the world, they do use these in some form. And of course, the medicine people too. I've seen a story or documentary on medicine people using these, but for help. I mean, for curing people. And I can't remember which nation it was. I think it's mostly out the west area. I think they use them. So I hope I answered your question again, but you need to talk with your elders first. And if you're Turtle Clan, I would advise that, to talk to your elder first before anything else, because that's where that teaching comes from. If it's all right with them, then I guess it's okay to go ahead and use it, but you can't eat your turtle, your own clan. It's not good. Like for me, I can't eat the marten. He's my clan brother. That's the clan I sit under, is that marten, Wabjishi. And I can't eat the crane because that's my name. So you have to remind yourself that. I hope I answered that question as much as I could.
Awesome. Thank you for that explanation. She says miigwech.
Uh-huh. Oh, by the way, when we say aha, we mean okay. But other people, northern people up north, they say nahau. Either way is good. I say thank you very much.
Awesome. So with that, I guess I'll just take this opportunity to start with the shaker workshop for our participants. So I have here, let me just try to get it into view here. I have here my basin of water.
Julia,
And then inside, yeah.
sorry, before you start, there was one more question here. I think it just came in. It says a lot of communities down here in the States say that women shouldn't drum. But I've noticed a lot of women there carry hand drums, water drums, and even big drums. And it doesn't seem to be as taboo. So she was just, or they were just wondering what Neil's thoughts and teachings are on that.
What, women carrying big drums?
Drums in general. Down in the States, I know there's a woman that works in Temiskaming First Nation or in that area that's actually from the States, and she was taught to not, like, drums aren't a woman's item that they carry, so they don't touch the drums. But up north here, it's common for women to carry hand drums.
Yeah, it's good for all. It's okay with hand drums. It's okay with the hand drums. But for the bigger drums, the powwow drums, I heard a teaching on that one that women are not to sit with the drum when it's being played. I mean, when they're using it in powwows or anything. They stand behind the men and sing with the men. So there was an incident that happened a while back. I don't know how long ago that was. Oh, that's the Prime Minister calling. That's my phone, don't worry. It's just the Prime Minister calling. I'll tell him to hold off. I'll call him next week. Anyway, going back. Oh, anyway, going back, yeah, there was an incident that we were at, they were asking us guys if they had seen a woman with a big drum. And so there was a discussion around that, and he said that the gentleman that called us said that she wasn't supposed to be doing that. And I've seen it in areas too, where the woman is carrying a big drum and she was using it. And that's not, it's kind of like one of the teachings that were given, it was for the men only, that drum. And at the very beginning of time, when that fighting was going on between the men, it was the woman who found that drum. And then there was the women who told the men to use that, and they did. And that's what stopped it. So the women gave permission for the men to use this big drum only. And the women, if they wanted to be part of that big drum, they would stand behind the men and sing. But it's all right for women to carry drums, hand drums and shakers. And you know, I see a lot of women with hand drums, and oh man, do they ever sound nice. They sound nicer than me sometimes. No, I'm just kidding. You know, but that's the teaching I've received from different, some of the teachers that I had the pleasure of knowing. And they say that, yeah, it's the women that can't sit at the drum, the big drum, when they can't use it, but they can use the smaller drums to be part of something. And oh yeah, we should talk about this too. And then there's also another teaching that I heard about too, is that, remember I mentioned the little water drum of the sweat lodge? When that's brought out in ceremony, and you have other drums there, like say hand drums, when that drum sounds its voice, they say that you have to put your hand drums away back into the bag. Because, I don't know, again, that teaching is, it's a long teaching. And the teaching around that. And so when that little boy water drum sounds its voice, it's doing that ceremony. It's been given permission to do the ceremonies without other drums. So when somebody says, okay, guys, put your hand drums away. So you put your hand drums away because they say that little boy is about to sound his voice. And those little water drums are carried by both men and women in the lodge. Those are the only ones. The drums are only about this big. They're not that big. They're about maybe, I wish I had one. I'd show you. But anyway, so, but the big drum though itself, it's, women can't be part of that big drum.
I know this. I know them.
What?
House big drum là, c'est comme le gros.
Hello? I guess I hope I answered that properly. I'm not meaning no disrespect to the women. They're welcome to be part of the singing. And I see a lot of women singing behind the men. Man, does that ever sound good, right? You got the drum, the men, and the women. Drum takes center fold, right? It's right in the center of everybody. It's the center of all of things, right? Powwows. Okay.
Absolutely. Thank you for that teaching, Neil. I think you touched all the bases on that question. We just have Carrie who is saying this is something that they're working on as well, and they're offering their female students the option of talking with their parents, families, or elders if they should make or use a hand drum or a rattle, like a shaker. So that's great. I think redirecting it to the elders and the traditional knowledge keepers in your community is a great option. Natasha is asking, where do Two-Spirit people fall in these teachings in terms of using hand drums or the grandfather drum?
Oh, that's that is a great question. I've had, we have that discussion before. I think actually this was in Sudbury where where this discussion happened. And again, it's you have to go to the elders for that. I'm not too versed in that area, but I see women, the women who are, they use those big, not the big drums, but the hand drums. And they talked to us about it once before, and we just kind of sat with them and kind of had a little discussion around it, but they understood. But I think the bigger part of that is that you have to go to one of the elders to talk about that, because this is something big now. Because I don't know how long it's been going on with this discussion part, and I see no problem with it. It depends on what the elders say. Again, like I said, I'm young on this path. I'm still learning as I go. And when we come to, oh, there's a prime minister again. Probably wants me to give him a raise. I'll look at my books.
Ask him.
Anyway, that's about all I can offer for now on that one. But if you want, I can find out for sure. I can actually look for that answer for you. All right. And that's one of the things that we're supposed to do. If you don't know the answer, go look for it and then bring it back at some point. Aha, miigwech.
Great, Neil. We just have some questions about the water drum. Is there a certain wood that you use for a water drum, and who traditionally makes a water drum?
You got me. Usually the men in the lodges make those water drums. There's certain individuals that are designated to do that. And then when they put them together, they're like in little pieces like this, and they make it round. And I'm not sure exactly what type of wood it is. That's the part that we never really got told about, but there are men who make those drums within the lodges or different places where they have the expertise to make them. I don't make them myself because I don't know how. I can make a hand shaker, I can make a hand drum, I can help build a big drum, but other than that one, that's left to the ones that have the knowledge to put that one together. And mostly a lot of the young people are being trained in that area too to make those water drums for ceremonies. They're ceremonial drums actually. And so they find the ones that can do that. So.
Awesome.
How?
All right. So that seems to be it for the questions for now. Feel free to continue asking questions, but we'll go through the shaker workshop right now. We'll start that off and we'll touch base on any additional questions after. So I have with me my basin of water. I have been soaking my rawhide for a little over an hour now. So you can see it here. It's soft and malleable now. Whereas when you first start off, it's flimsy, almost like cardstock. So we have our rawhide ready. And what else we're gonna need is a Glover needle. So they look, I don't know if you can see that. They're leather cutting needles, so they have a triangular tip that helps pierce through the hide. And I'm using sinew here. So our participants were provided with sinew. It usually comes in a very thick piece, but the wonderful part about sinew is that you can pull it apart into smaller threads to make it easier to put through your needle. So this is how we got it. And then when you separate it, it goes into smaller pieces. Try to demonstrate that. So I have a thin piece and I've threaded my Glover needle. Is that better? Okay. So I'm going to tie a couple knots at the end of this sinew so it doesn't come through when I poke my holes. I've seen people in the past poke holes in the rawhide using a leather punch, but with the Glover needle, just a little extra push gets it through. I've seen people use little bits of leather or other pieces of rawhide to help with pushing the Glover needle through, but just go slowly and proceed with caution. So we're going to start by going through, so not too close to the edge. I'm going to go about a 1/2 inch in and just push it through. And pull it all the way. And then rather than twisting it over and coming back in, we're going to go in the same side that we came out of. So I've gone through once to this side, and now I've put my needle through and I'm coming through this side. So you're going to be weaving through the hide all the way around, trying to maintain about that far apart. It's about 1/2 inch apart. And you're going to continue all the way around. And this is so we can form it into this after. So we'll be pulling the sinew tight and it'll curl up all the edges and create a little base for your shaker. So I'm just going to continue going around. Kind of hard to see, the sinew is kind of the same color as the hide, but I have my knot here. And you can see I've gone through the hide. So I'm going to make my way all the way around. And
you're pretty quick with that.
I know.
I've made shakers in the past. I think it was Charlotte Pelletier who showed us how to make them, baby rattles in the prenatal program at Swakemuk Friendship Center. We did them a little different. We didn't use a needle. We just kind of bunched it around a plastic bag and then tied sinew, I can never say that word, around, and then just pulled it. So that's another option for people that don't have a needle with them. And I'm only saying that because I actually gave my son, who is part of this workshop, all of the all of the items, but I'm like, you don't need a needle, you don't need one, you're good.
Yeah.
So right now he's like probably thinking, oh my gosh, I don't have a needle. So if you don't have a needle, is you can use a plastic bag. So if you have a plastic bag, and then you can wrap the rawhide around it, and then tie it like you're like you're choking somebody, like that, and then you can tie some of the sinew. I can't ever say that, sinew around it, and then just give it a little bit of a tug.
That's what my quick one looks like.
Exactly.
So the reason that I'm doing it this way is to just help with the bunching up to make it look more appealing. But if you're, not interested in sewing it, that's another option. But what happens when you've finished sewing all the way around is that it bunches up into a nice circle. So you're able to have that nice form. And then what you'll do after is put that on your stick. So you'll put your stick in, and you can see what I did on this side. So this is my rattle that I made already. But what I ended up doing was allowing it to dry on my stick. So I knew how wide it had to be. And then so it takes about a day to dry, about 24 hours, and then it gets hard. So it returns back to that original state where it's not really bendy. And I've glued it in already, but you're able to take it off and you can fill it with whatever you'd like. So we offered rice to our participants. I've seen people use beans. This one actually has some beads in it to kind of give it a different sound. So there's different options available. And with this pattern where we've scrunched it all up, afterwards, what I did to help maintain that smooth base on the bottom was I had put a plastic bag inside of it to hold its form. And then after, you can just take it out, and it has like a hard casing where it holds its shape because it's dried out. And then you just put a little bit of glue on the inside. So you would put glue just on the inside here, or you could put it on the tip of your stick. But I wouldn't recommend putting it on this part, the blunt end of it, more around the edges, as far in as you're gonna go, because otherwise your rice or your beans will get stuck to the tip and you won't have as nice a sound. So I'm just looking at the questions here, Donna. I have multiple pieces of hide, but I'm only using one to do the work, to do my shaker. I'm just trying to show what it looks like at different stages. So initially when you get it, you'll get a large piece of rawhide. Hold on, I have it here. So when you purchase rawhide, if you're lucky enough to have people that know how to harvest it, it comes in a big piece like this. And then you're free to trace out your shapes that you want. You can make hand drums out of it. There's different thicknesses for different uses. I know you use a thicker piece for the drums, and you can use thinner pieces for the shakers. And there's also a rough side and a smooth side. And I've seen shakers where you have the rough side on the outside or on the inside. I think it's more personal preference. But for this one, I have the rough side on the inside. So the smooth side will be on the outside. Trying to see here. Astrid is asking, does the stick have to be green or will any stick do? I think any stick will do. It's more up to you. We had youth clean off the roof of our building, and that's where I got this stick from. I put some tobacco down and started using it. For our youth participants, I went into the bush and put some tobacco down and harvested some dried out branches. But it's up to you. I know that I've seen some where the bark is taken off. This one still has the bark on it. Anyways.
Letitia here also says that she made a shaker this week too, and the one that she was shown was different as well. She had used jack pine roots and deer hide, so that's pretty cool.
Ooh, that's awesome.
Oh, and Wapishki Keezus Ikwe says that they used mustard seeds in their shaker. There's a really gentle, soft sound.
Ooh, that's a good idea.
Mm-hmm. I've seen people too that will have their drumstick, like Neil, but also I've seen other people have like the softer, like regular drumstick, and then on the other end they put a shaker. So when they're using their drum, they can see how the drumstick part is the soft, and then the other end is the shaker. So it has a different sound. So I think that's pretty cool too. It was Ghislaine Goudreau, who's Algonquin Anishinaabe Kwe, also from, I don't know how to say it, but Golden Lake. I can't remember how to say it. No, I mean the Anishinaabe name. I know how to say Golden Lake.
I was gonna say. Something that I notice while I'm sewing is that it kind of gets a little tacky and dried out, like the water is already starting to evaporate. So if it's becoming difficult to work through, you can kind of you can soak it back in the water for a little bit. This process isn't meant to be rushed. Take your time. I try to only do these handicrafts when I'm in a good headspace, when I'm thinking positively. And that's so that energy gets transferred into the object that I'm making. I used to make moccasins and mitts, and after a while you get frustrated when it's not working. And when you start getting frustrated, that's when you know it's time to put it down and maybe take a break. Usually when I get like that, I'll smudge or go for a walk and kind of just try to find that positive energy again.
Roxy Sprawl wants to know, at what stage do you put the beans, rice, or seeds in after it dries and is glued to the stick?
Okay. So when you put the beads or whatever object that you're wanting to put inside the day after, so you'll form it. We're going to form it today, and we're going to let it dry. And then once it's dried, you can take it, like take the plastic bag out if you've used a plastic bag, or take it off your stick if you've used it to form it. And you'll put your beads or your seeds inside, and then apply that glue in your stick. And you'll hold it there. And sometimes, depending on what glue you have, it might take a while. So that's why I had wrapped the sinew around it just to hold it while it glued. And now I'm going to leave it there because I like the way it looks. You put the seeds in after it has dried and before you glue your stick inside, because otherwise you won't be able to put your seeds in. So I'm almost halfway done here.
Astrid would like to know, how many beads or seeds do you put in?
Well, it depends on what kind of sound you're wanting. So a way that you can test it out is putting a small amount in and putting your hand to block the noise and just shake it inside, and you'll be able to hear approximately what it'll sound like. For this one, of beads, not much. The more you put, the less, like the quieter the sound is going to be, because it doesn't have a lot of space to shake off of. But it is personal preference, and different objects that you're putting in also sound different based on amounts. So the amount really varies. I know for the rice, I would probably put for a shaker this size, not even a tablespoon. But you want enough, enough to make a sound, but not too much where it dulls the sound of the shaker.
Which, we have another question here from Jeanette McQuabi. She would like to put a pinch of each of the 4 medicines in her shaker. Would this be appropriate? Maybe Neil would like to answer that. Oh,
What's that?
We have.
Can you hear?
Yeah, we have.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can.
I can't see you, though.
No, we can see you. Just to let you know, just a warning.
Don't pick your nose or anything.
How's that?
So
Where are
Jenna,
you at? What's the question?
I'm trying to tell you, silly. Okay, so Jeanette McQuabi would like to know, she wants to put a pinch of each of the 4 medicines in her shaker. Would that be appropriate?
Yeah, that's good. That's good. Then you're connecting with creation itself, right? By using all those medicines. It's okay. It's whatever your preference is, whatever your thoughts or your mind and your heart feel, then you go ahead and do that.
That's a good idea. I should grab some medicines.
Yeah, I'm also thinking about just cultural protocols for women too, and their moon time. So, but I think that varies from nation to nation. So that's H.Neil. So Donna Lees would like to know, is there a birthing ceremony for the shaker as when you awaken your hand drum?
Yeah, you could do that. You could use both when you do your hand drum shakers. Hand drum shakers. When you do your hand drums, when you awaken the birthing of those drums, you can also use the shakers to do that. But sometimes people just go, once it's finished and dried and gets to that point where it sounds, you can actually do that on your own. Like you can make a little fire or have a little feast for yourselves or with the shaker there. And then once you do that, then you just start shaking and singing the song if you know one. Oh?
No, which? All right, I think that's all the questions, Julia.
Awesome. So I am just finishing up here. So you'll see the knot right here from where we started. Might be a little bright. So this is where we started, and we've made our way around. And I'm just coming to the end here. So what you want to make sure is that your last stitch comes out the same side that your knot is on. So you'll see my knot is here, and I'm pulling my last stitch through just beside it. And once that's done, you can start forming the tip of your hand drum, or sorry, hand drum shaker. So just pull slowly. You don't want to break that sinew that's in there, otherwise you'll have to start it over. As I go around, I like to just adjust it to make the pleats nice, I guess. I'm a wee bit of a perfectionist these days. All right. So that's what it looks like now that I've pulled it all together. You can see they're all puckered up. But because this shape isn't exactly what I want it to be, what I'm going to do is open it a little and put my plastic bag in. And that just helps maintain that nice little dome. You put your plastic bag in there. And it more or less just helps fill out the space a little bit better. So once you're done that, you grab your stick. This is just how I do it. I'm not sure if anyone else has done it differently. And then I usually just wrap the sinew around it so it holds that shape. And then with the needle still attached, I just pass it back through. That way I know where I came out. You see my little loop. And then it's just left to dry overnight. So now tomorrow when I come back to it, it'll be hardened and it'll hold this shape, and I'll be able to take the plastic bag out. Now this part's always a little bit difficult, especially once it's hardened, and once it's hardened, so the hole doesn't move anymore. Well, whereas right now it's a little simpler because my hide is still soft. But you'll be able to take your plastic bag out, and you'll be left with that hardened form. And this is when you would put your beads in, or your seeds, or whatever you have that you'd like to put in. And you would apply a little bit of glue just around the edges here. And then you could also put some on the inside, and you just stick it back on your stick and hold it. If you're using craft glue or schoolhouse glue, my best tip would be to leave it overnight in this position where it's resting. And that just helps it dry straight. And then after it's dry, you're free to use it.
Looks good.
Yeah. And yes, Astrid, the knot ends up being on the inside when you pull it. So if you come through, you'll see here, that's the inside of it. And this was the last stitch that I did, which ends up being right beside that knot. Where is it? It's all puckered up here. So as long as you're coming out on the same side that your knot is, your knot will end up on the inside. Yeah. A lot of this is just adjusting, and it takes time to get the form to exactly the way that you want it. But it's also a teaching in patience. And I have Melissa Toledo who's asking, where can I find this hide and string from? We purchased these at an Indigenous craft store. I know that you can find them often on reserves. A lot of people have stores where they sell these traditional items. But if you have traditional knowledge carriers or hunters in your area that have harvested hide or sinew, you can actually just maybe purchase it from them, or barter maybe a trade the way our people used to. And I think Neil was wanting to talk about patience.
No.
No? You raised your hand and got all excited when I started talking about patience.
Patience.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's the key to everything, right?
Yes, sir.
That's the key to everything. And sometimes, I lose patience myself, and but then I have to remind myself who I am. And sometimes I get, especially in a game that I play a game of what they call golf. And if I think about that, then that's supposed to be a game that's, you have to have some etiquette in it, they call it. In other words, there are rules and protocols that you follow during a game. And it's only a game. It's like with any game that you play, or it's anything that you put together, especially these drums. Sometimes we used to, when we did the making of hand drums here on the island, there's a lot of young people that used to get angry with because they couldn't get the proper, how to make the ties on the drums. So you go back over and then you talk with them, and then you show them gently. Then you start showing them, and then we keep telling them that, take your time, don't rush it. It'll come together at the end when we're done here. And sure enough, and that's how that, but patience is the key to everything, basically. You got to learn it. It's something that's one of the teachings, I guess. It's one of that, the patience thing. It's in the grandfather teachings also. It's all in those 7 grandfather teachings, patience. And once we got to understand it, then we begin to feel it, right?
Absolutely.
Right? That's one thing that's one of the major keys, is that we have faith and patience in ourselves. Things will come together. Like right now, I'm trying to have patience with this virus that's going on. I don't mind the Zoom. I get a little bit tongue-tied with when I go on video. I much rather be face-to-face with people when I work with people. So I have to learn patience there, because we always talk about it in our teachings. We talk about that that the earth is healing itself right now, even though this virus is around. When we look at the breathe that air, it seems to be a little bit better than what it used to be. When you look at the water, it looks cleaner. And Mother Earth has had patience with us for many years, for a long time. She's had patience. Our Creator is very patient. And all those the animal kingdom, they too are going through a rough time, but their patience is really great. Look at the plant world. Look at how many things are being destroyed You know, the trees are being knocked down. All the minerals from our mother is being taken. And yet she still has patience. And when we understand that and see how she is looking after us still, because she provides she's still providing for us. And that's the key. So if we have faith and patience, we're able to put all these things together in a way that it is understood. This is the true meaning of our teachings. And when we know those two especially, then we understand that we can do the things that are needed. Now, Julia? 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 Oh, there she is. She moved. Anyway, that's about all I have on patience. Joey, sinew?
I can't say that word. But you know what I've been seeing are some of the kids that have their shakers. So Cassie, Cassie, I think I seen you had a shaker. I'd like to take a look at it. Awesome, looking good. You're on your way, right on. Is there another little, and a drum. Awesome, looking great. I've seen another, and there's another one. There's another shaker. Great job. And Dawson and Wynn.
Oh, wow.
Awesome. That looks great. Do you want to maybe unmute so we can hear it?
Dawson or Wynn?
So it was a little long. We're going to cut it later.
Uh-huh.
If we don't cut it, it will be a new world record. The longest rattle.
I love the enthusiasm.
Oh,
Sorry, I muted you. Sorry about that. Okay. And what about the other little, do we have another little boy here or girl? Dawson and Wynn, is there another one
Right here.
that wants to?
Right here.
Sorry. All right, Cassie. I'm gonna unmute you. Try to. Can we take a look at your rattle and hear it? Is there a way to unmute? Oh, there we go.
Hi.
Hi.
We don't have a rattle. We have a drumstick.
Nice.
Yes, it was gifted to me during class. My drum as well. So this is our first time making a shaker. I'm doing it with the kids.
Oh, great. And do you know any songs? The one in the headband. I don't know your name. Beautiful headband. Do you know any songs for your drum? For your mom's drum?
What was that? Sorry.
Sorry, my internet's a little unstable. Do you know any songs for that drum?
Do you know any songs?
I only know like a couple, like my mom.
Yeah, she knows Wende Aho, Wende Aho. She's very shy.
Okay. Well, thank you so
And the
much for
grass.
showing us. Miigwech.
Great.
We
Oh my
also-
gosh, what a little cutie.
She is. We also have, I don't know the person's name, but it says fire tablet. He's sewing away.
Nishkwe.
Honey,
Ani, how's it
this is how I
going?
did it. I did. This is how it turned. This is my first one that I made before this one. So if you can see that.
That looks awesome. I really like
Actually,
that pattern.
a workshop last year and I made this one. Well, actually, I gifted this to my nephew. I just borrowed it for today. Is that what you do? Is that when? Well, that's what I learned before. The first thing you create or make, such as a drumstick, you gift your first one to somebody.
Those are I've had the same teachings. I know that the first drum that I made, I carried it with me for a while. I didn't really have anyone around to gift it to. I believe I ended up gifting it to someone. Trying to think. Oh yes. So my first drum that I made, I actually gifted to my coworker's daughter, Mila. She is a young little Anishinaabe Kwezes who's shown a passion for drumming, and I just finally felt like it was time for that drum to be shared with someone. It felt right, and now she drums on it frequently, and I get little videos of her drumming in the morning. It's lovely.
If we can go back to Dawson and Wynn, I know there's another little tiny gentleman that maybe didn't have a chance to talk. Oh, he's kind of edging out of the picture. Where's he going? No, he's good? Awesome. Okay. And what about Nishkwe? I seen her with a beautiful shaker. Can you unmute?
Hi.
Say Ani Bojo.
Annie Bojo.
Ani.
Ani.
This is the shaker. It's made of cow horn. By an elder in six nations. And I'm learning songs on it.
Oh, that's amazing. Miigwech for sharing that, Nishkwe. Is that your name or is that your mom's name?
Mom's.
Oh, okay.
My name is Willow.
Oh, it's a beautiful name.
I love that name.
Miigwech for sharing.
Thank you for sharing that. Letitia would also like to show hers if we'd like to see a different kind of rattle. I'm interested in seeing that, Letitia, if you're up for showing us.
Hello. So this is the kind I made. I don't know if you guys can hear me.
Oh, yeah, we can hear you.
We went to get the roots, and this was actually made by another person that was given to me, and then another elder helped us put it together, and we used beans for the inside.
Oh, it sounds nice. It's got a nice hearty.
Yeah, it looks like a little teddy bear.
So cute.
It wasn't my choice, but it's nice.
Well, thank you for sharing, Letitia. Miigwech.
I like the idea of beans. Putting beans in there. I would put coffee beans in mine, since I like coffee.
And smell it all day.
Yep.
As long as it's not Starbucks.
So
going back to the gentleman there, Fire Tablet is his name?
Yeah.
Is he still there?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that when you talked about the gifting of the shakers and the drums, yeah, first ones that you make, it is true. That's the actual teaching around it. As you make your first drum, that you're supposed to give it away. Like I said in my opening and my beginning, that when I made my first drum, the drum seemed like it didn't want to go, but I started singing with it, and then all of a sudden it just stayed with me, and we did all that work together for over 20 years, and finally retired it, and now it just sits quietly. But I do use it once or twice when I need to. The shaker one too, you can also do that. Again, it's up to you. It's individuals. It's up to the individual what they want to do, especially around when we make drums. Especially when you make the drums and you're in a group of people, and maybe you like somebody on the far side of the table, and then maybe you want to exchange that drum after it's complete. So that's another way of doing it, And then when the birth thing comes, you come together and birth it together, right? So there's options of ways of doing it, but then, like I said, it's some of the teachings that I received too, that you give your first drum away. But for me, I told everybody I didn't want to leave it. No. But again, so me and my drum walked together for a long time, and now it's retired. Now this one I have, it was actually made for me. I had someone make it for me, and so it's working well. Miigwech. I hope I answered your question there, Fire Tablet. Oh, Miigwech.
Miigwech, Neil. We just have a question from Cinnamon, and she's wondering what is the teaching around why we are to give our first one away?
I would talk to a lady about that one, an elder woman.
Okay.
I'm not too what you call on that one either. So I'll write that down, and I'll get to find the answer for that. Hold on. My secretary had to leave today, so I'm alone. But I'll see if I can find that answer for you, Julia, and then you can pass it on.
Okay, awesome.
All right.
Awesome. So I actually took apart my shaker to kind of give a better demonstration about gluing. So I'll take out the beads that I have, or the beads that I have. So that's roughly the amount that I had in there. Not really much more than a teaspoon, I would say. This is what it looked like when I was done. So you can see that it's hard. It's not malleable anymore. It doesn't move around.
Not soft.
Not soft anymore. Got all hard on us.
It's hardened.
So I put my beads in there, and you can hear it shaking around. And then, so I have Gorilla Glue here, but I've used, when I first glued it, and then what I ended up doing was just putting some around the inside. So just right in here. And then to make sure that it's stuck, put some on a little part of the stick. It's roughly about as far as it's going to go in. And put them together. Apply some pressure. And it's good to go.
Awesome.
Super glue luckily dries fast, but for those that have other types of glue, you might just need to have a little bit more patience and wait it out.
Teacher, can I speak?
Hey.
There's another thing that they could do also at some point, but you need an adult to do this with you. I'll use my old shaker. I have to do it with this one. And what I have to do, because it comes loose every once in a while, is that you untie it, and then you soften the only this part. See this little part here around the bottom of the shaker like this? That's the one you put in water for a little while. And then while that's softening up, then what you do then is that you kind of drill a hole, but you need an adult with this one. Don't do it on your own, young ones, and drill a hole through there. And then you get a piece of, like a dowling, a piece of wood. And then once you get that, then you do the same thing with the hide because it's soft. Then you poke a hole through that on each side. And then you push that dowling right through both the hide and the horn and bring it out the other side. Once you get that in place, then you wrap it again with your, Joey, say it with me, sinew. You say it with sinew, and then you tie it in. So that way your the head of the shaker don't come off. An elder told me that. That's the best way of doing something like that because they see sometimes the heads of shakers come flying out and you don't want to hurt anybody. So I have to keep adjusting this once in a while. And then same with this one. This is my drumstick. This is my drumstick here. So I got to do the same thing. I got to untie this, drill a hole through there, and then soften this up and do the same thing, and then push the piece of wood dowling through it, and then wrap it again with the sinew. So that way it doesn't come off because, see, it does move, see? So you have to be very careful. So that's some of the ideas. So that's using our ingenuity to get things going. So there's a lot of ways of doing things, and just kind of have to play with it. And once you figure them out, then this type of shaker is a gourd shaker. These are easy. These ones here you have to let dry. You have to, I don't know how long. This one here, like I said, was gifted. Sounds good. It works. It does good. This one here, and like I said, I use this one for singing also, this shaker, and it sounds different from that one. Hello?
You're still here.
What happened? I'm lost. I'm lost in translation.
We have
there we are. There we are. I thought I was going to be alone again.
We have a comment from Dawson or from Richard. He says that you give away your first drum because it's the worst one that you've made.
That's good thinking.
And then Astrid, she says, I learned that you should give away your first drum as a practice of detachment. So learning to give things away. I'm in agreement with Astrid. I think it's a great way to learn about gifting and giving things that you have that other people might need and not expecting anything in return. I think that's a great way to teach that. And then we have Cinnamon who says that's most likely true. I thought it might have something to do with recognizing the drums are made for the community, that they're not just ours, so not getting attached to that item. So that's a great comment. We recently had a workshop in our community in April where we made hand drums. That was facilitated by Darren McGregor. He'll be doing the session next week. And that drum that I created in that workshop is actually a drum that I use for the work that I'm doing in our community. It was birthed in our health and wellness center, where I am now actually. And I've only used it a couple of times at our drum group meetings, and we had a couple sessions where we met and got together to sing some songs, and it was also used to sing a welcoming song when we were doing elders' testimonies as a part of our land claim. So it's only been used for community work, and I can't imagine using it for anything else. I know the drum that I had before, the one that I gifted away, was used in different scenarios where I was singing with a group. We had a women's drum group, and also singing on my own when I was having a hard day or just wanting to practice those songs so I didn't lose them. Just a little food for thought.
Nice. I know sometimes what me and my boys will do when they were younger, and not so much anymore, but we would take out the drums and sit around bedtime and drum. And when before Neil told that part about, making sure that the end of the drumstick or, the rattle doesn't fall off, it's true, because me and Alex, and I think Matt was there too, we were drumming, and it just like the thing just popped off and went across the room, and then we could not stop laughing, right? So it's that humor also, I think, and that drum really brings families together and people together, just like today, right? Like, look at all of us. We're all sitting here talking, laughing, having fun. Yeah, so miigwech.
Miigwech. I think we're coming up to about that time, Neil. I'm not sure if you wanted to share some other songs with us.
No.
No? Okay.
No, I'm gonna sing a song for you.
Oh,
and,
sorry. Just before we have one last question just before you start with your closing. Letitia saying, I'm not sure if it was asked, but why are women not allowed to drum on the big drum? Like the grandfather drum.
We missed the first part.
The first part of the party, the second part?
Yeah.
There's a whole teaching on that one. And again, I'm going to have to make it brief, is that the women gave the men the drum. In that time when the war was going on between nations, it was the women who found the drum, who did the ceremony for it and got the vision for it. And it was the men, and then the men were told that they were to take care of this, and that was their responsibility, because each and every one of us has a responsibility to take care of things as according to Creator's plan. And so they were given that task to take care of it and make sure it's looked after. I think that's about much as I know about that part, but that's another question that I have to answer and find for you. And I will find it for you, Julia, and then you can pass it on.
Okay, absolutely. Letitia's saying that she'll wait for the recording and watch the first part again.
What song do you want to hear? Mungai Pungai?
Jiggy
Jiggy Jungai?
Yeah.
I'm going to sing this song that came to me at a meeting a while back, and it talks about the children. And we call it the children's song. And I'm an elder for a group of people down our way called DBCFS. And don't ask me to explain that. It took me a long time just to say those. Anyway, so we were at this meeting, and it was with the CAS people, family services people, and our chiefs in Rama. And we were talking. They were talking away there, going at it, and then finally I could hear this voice coming, and this voice brought this song to me. And it seems funny that it would happen at that meeting, because after a little while they started arguing with each other, CS and one of the family workers. And I had to I got up finally. I said, "Excuse me for a second. I want to sing this song that came, and I'm going to sing it for you." And it talks about the children. That the children, when we think about them, that we do quada, meaning let us help our children. We jiwada, let us go with our children. Jimnada, let us hold our children. Sagada, let us love our children. That's what the song is saying. So I'm going to do that, and then hopefully that everything else will, like I said, I'll look for those answers for you. I'll talk with Julia, and then we'll go through that. And then once I get the answers, then I will deliver them to you. Okay, Julia? Are you ready? Are there shakers working too? Some of them, if you got shakers, shake with me. Not like this. Vito quadrabin o jimnan, Vito quadrabin o jimnan, Vito quadrabin o jimnan, Vito quadrabin o jimnan, I ho. And that's that children's song. So when we think about it, and that young people are sitting here today learning a little bit about the drum, the shakers. And then we have to remind ourselves that these are the young ones that are going to take over for us when we get older and move on into that spirit world. Because guys like myself who are 35 years young, we clear the path for the ones that are yet to come. And those are the ones that we look at. We look back there. We look at that doorway we came through, because there are many there, the spirits wanting to come to the earth, but we have to make sure that path is clear for them so that they understand the true meaning of what this life is when they reach Mother Earth. Anyway, that's that song. So I hope I gave you the teaching on that, and it talks about how we have to look after our children in a good, positive way and teach them the way of our people as best as we can. So modern technological advices need to be kind of put aside when we start to learn about, especially the drums and the shakers. If we're going to use them in a good way, then your iPads, your iPhones, and your laptops need to be put away in order for you to learn this. I'm not saying you have to. I'm saying have a good look at this and put it in your heart and your mind, and then you'll see exactly what we are all talking about. Miigwech.
Miigwech.
Aha, miigwech. Oh, nanu. Good one.
I'm very
Oh, yeah.
happy to participate with this circle. I'm very happy. Mm-mm.
Oh, miigwech, Nishkre. We're so glad that you could join us as well.
Wait, okay, wait. Let me quit.
Miigwech.
Oh, miigwech.
We have a little bit more conversation in the chat going on also, which is good. Let's see here, where is it? Oh, darn it. Okay, you go ahead then.
Sorry, the internet here isn't the greatest. We're just saying that there's some interesting discussions happening in the chat. Dawson and Wayne had said that they have met someone who carries a big drum for the women. And I said that that's one thing that I love about being an Anishinaabe, that our teachings are sometimes similar and sometimes different. Like I've been seeing an increasing number of women carrying those grandfather drums, and I'm sure the teachings they were given support that practice. But in our community, it's more common for the men to sit at the drum and for the women to stand behind them, singing with them. And the reply that we got from Dawson was that at one time sweats were exclusive to men, as women were seen as complete and not needing them. However, over the course of time, the women have asked to be a part of that ceremony, and healers have made space for them. And the idea is that the same must also be true of the drum. What do you think, Neil?
Well, that time is coming. I don't know when, but it must be almost here, so.
Mm-hmm.
That's about all I have on that.
And then we have Cinnamon who says, Hoa, thank you for all the teachings and sharing Tobacco Down. Neil, if she ever makes it out your way, she's definitely bringing you a coffee.
Who's that?
Cinnamon.
Double, large.
Everybody take note. We have Roxy saying miigwech. Astrid says, Chimigwech, I feel so blessed to have been able to participate in these teachings. The blessing of having to do things via Zoom is that I can participate from Brussels, Belgium. I would love to have access to the recordings, and I love the humor. So we're going to send you the recordings, Astrid, and I'll post the link to our Facebook group again. That's where all of the previous recordings are and where this one will be. And Jeanette says, Chimigwech Neil for sharing your teachings and knowledge with us. Miigwech Julie and Joey Lynn for hosting and facilitating these learning opportunities for everyone. And Cinnamon says, done. She's got double written down.
I saw that.
And Nathan says, Miigwech, we met once at an OFIFC youth gathering once, and you let me sing to open a while ago. It's always great to hear the teachings, a good refresher, and to learn something new. Nathan Navo.
I think I remember the name.
We have Sarah Kavanaugh, who says, Anin Nudine que Indigenous Kawabig Giganika Inewa, Washington. So that's, correct me if I'm wrong, hello and then her name, Nudinenkwe. And she comes from Washington. Awesome. I like the use of the language here. Miigwech, Sarah, for providing that. And with that, I think we'll start closing this session. Neil, I'm not sure if you have any closing thoughts.
No, I'm good.
You're good?
I'm
Okay.
good. Yeah.
Well, then everybody can say goodbye.
You all did well with your shakers.
Okay.
Yeah,
All
we
right.
want to see those shakers on Twitter. Oh, Astrid, there you are, all the way in Belgium.
Love it.
Is that tree still standing there beside that building? Pulling your leg from here. Pulling your leg from Canada.
Yeah, we want to see pictures, eh? We want to see pictures of people's shakers and, oh, there's Cinnamon.
Thank you guys so much. Bye.
Come up here.
I will. Some point. Thank you so much. Have a good day, everybody.
Congrats, Cinnamon.
English. All right, so yeah, in our language, Bamapi means see ya. Bamapis. Bamapi.
Later. Later, it says.
Ooh, Lloydminster. Wow, Lloydminster, Saskatchewan. We have Shelley from there. Amazing.
Thank you for joining us, everyone.
Thank you for having me. So I'll take my leave. Oh no, I can't.
No.
Nope.
See you later, Belgium. An empty chair.
Okay. Oh, he's gone now too.
Hebrew.
We'll just wait for everyone to pop off and then we can debrief.
Is that Father Brebeuf?
Yeah, Brebeuf.
Oh, shucks, I forgot to stop recording.